I was 18 when my world ended and began again. They told me I'd been in a car accident, that I had been driving home from a party with my best friend and something went wrong. They said the car flipped 3 times, that I was lucky to be alive. I didn't feel lucky. Not when I opened my eyes in that sterile hospital room, white walls humming with fluorescent lights. Not when my mother gripped my hand like she was afraid I'd vanish again. Not when the doctor told me I'd been in a coma for nearly 6 weeks. And definitely not when they told me I was pregnant. The room went silent like someone had hit pause on reality. I stared at the doctor, then at my mom, then down at my own body, thinner than I remembered, tubes still running into my arm. "That's not possible," I whispered. But the ultrasound didn't lie. The doctor explained gently. My vitals were stable, the fetus showed signs of normal development, I was around 8 weeks along. I did the math in my head. I couldn't remember anything from that party. My last memory was studying for finals. The party, the crash, it was all a blur. A black hole in my brain. I wasn't even sure I'd had sex before. What followed was chaos, tears, accusations, questions I couldn't answer. My mom cried for days. My dad went silent, cold. My boyfriend, well, my ex, ghosted me the moment he heard the news. Not that he was the father. We hadn't even kissed in months. Everyone wanted answers. And I had none. So they started looking for them without me. Police opened an investigation. The hospital ran tests. My blood, my clothes, the car, everything was reviewed. But the problem was, without my memory, no one could say what had really happened. Until someone leaked the party video. I don't know who filmed it, maybe someone trying to be funny or cruel or both. But there it was, online, grainy footage of the night everything changed. I watched myself on the screen, laughing, dancing, holding a red plastic cup. Then the clip cut hard to a hallway. I was stumbling, clearly out of it. A guy followed me. I recognized him. The golden boy. Quarterback. Straight-A student. Church kid. My mom always said he was the kind of boy you pray your daughter brings home. And now he was on video leading me into a bedroom and closing the door. The video didn't show anything more. But it didn't have to. Town split in half. Some people said it was a setup. That the footage was edited. That he would never do something like that. Others said it was obvious. That someone needed to be held accountable. The school tried to stay neutral. So did the church. So did the police. For weeks, nothing happened. No charges. No arrests. But something was happening inside me. I could feel it every day. This life growing inside me, not from love, not from choice, but from violence, from betrayal. And then his mom showed up at the hospital. She didn't say sorry. She didn't ask how I was. She just sat across from me with perfect posture and said, "My son has a future. Don't ruin it over a mistake." A mistake. She slid a check across the table. $50,000. To make this go away. I stared at it, stunned. She mistook my silence for hesitation. "You can start over. Go to college. Forget this ever happened." That's when I realized they didn't think I was a person. Just a problem to be paid off. I didn't take the money. Instead, I called a lawyer. What happened next split the town in two. The moment my attorney filed a civil suit, everything changed. It wasn't just whispers anymore, it was national headlines. Small town girl wakes up pregnant. School athlete accused. Lawsuits, protests, media vans lining up along the church parking lot. Overnight, I became the center of a storm I never asked for. People took sides. Strangers called my house. Anonymous letters arrived daily. My mom stopped answering the phone. My dad had to take a leave from work. But the scariest part wasn't the hate. It was how organized the defense became. His parents hired a top lawyer, one of those legal sharks who smiles without ever showing teeth. Their strategy was clear: discredit me. Paint me as unstable. Suggest the pregnancy could have been from someone else, anyone else. They requested my school records. My social media history. Photos from parties I barely remembered attending. Every post, every outfit, every text was scrutinized like evidence in a crime. Meanwhile, my lawyer, a kind but fierce woman named Rachel, warned me it would get worse before it got better. "They're going to try to break you," she said. "Don't let them." Court allowed the case to proceed. A date was set. And in the weeks leading up to it, I prepared like I was going to war. But one night changed everything again. Someone slid an envelope under our front door. Inside, photos. Printouts. Text messages. Proof. The boy, the one everyone called a saint, had done this before. Not just to me. Multiple girls. Most too scared to speak. One had moved away. Another dropped out. But someone had saved everything, screenshots, journal pages, even a voicemail. The note inside the envelope simply said, "Use this. Don't let him get away again." Rachel brought the new evidence to court. The atmosphere shifted. The defense grew quiet. Suddenly, they weren't so eager to go to trial. A settlement was offered. But I didn't take it. I wanted my day in court. Courtroom was packed the day the trial began. People stood in the back, whispered in corners, some craning to see me, others avoiding my gaze entirely. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but that didn't stop the reporters from gathering outside like vultures. When I took the stand, I wasn't just telling my story, I was fighting to reclaim it. I spoke softly but clearly. About waking up, about the confusion, the betrayal, the memory that never returned. I explained how I'd pieced things together, how the evidence had come. How the pregnancy wasn't just unexpected, it was proof that something terrible had happened. Rachel guided me through. Calm, reassuring. When the defense cross-examined, they poked and prodded, tried to twist my words. But I didn't break. Because I wasn't just speaking for myself anymore. I was speaking for every girl who had been silenced. Then the other girls took the stand. One by one, they shared their stories. Not identical, but eerily similar. Him. The parties. The pressure. The silence. Some cried. Some couldn't look at the jury. But they spoke. And that changed everything. The boy's confident expression slowly eroded. His parents looked like statues. When his former friend testified that he had bragged about what he'd done, the room fell completely silent. The jury didn't take long. He was found liable in the civil case, not just for what he did to me, but for a pattern of behavior. He wasn't criminally charged yet, but the pressure grew fast. 2 months later, a separate investigation began. New charges were filed. I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. But I slept through the night for the first time in almost a year. When people ask me if I kept the baby, I tell them the truth. I didn't decide right away. It wasn't political. It wasn't pressure. It was personal. I had to ask myself, could I love this child without reliving the trauma? Could I separate them from how they came into the world? I went to therapy. I spoke to counselors. I sat alone with my thoughts. And eventually I realized something. The baby wasn't the crime. He didn't choose any of this. And he was mine. So I kept him. I named him Eli. He was born on a rainy Tuesday in early spring. And when I held him, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole for the first time in a long time. Raising him hasn't been easy. People still talk. Some avoid me. Others treat me like I'm made of glass. But I have my small circle. My mom, who never gave up on me. Rachel, who became more than just a lawyer, she became a friend. And Eli, who makes me believe that light can come from the darkest places. I never got an apology. Not from him. Not from his parents. But I no longer need it. 'Cause I found my voice. I told my story. And in doing so, I helped others tell theirs. If you've listened this far, thank you. Thank you for seeing me as more than a headline or a cautionary tale. I'm not broken. I'm not weak. I'm just someone who survived and kept going. And if you're ever in the dark, wondering if anyone will believe you, I believe you. And you're not alone.